Hello, everybody. You have tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police, Public Information Office, District 52, Indianapolis. And I have with me today a person that's been with us many times over the history of the show, Nathan Riggs. Nathan, welcome back again.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. Nathan is the Public Information Director for certain kind of central Indiana?
East Central Indiana. We've got 6 districts across the state for the Department of Transportation. Basically north, central, and south, divided down the middle, and help cover the East Central District, including Indianapolis and Hamilton County.
Great. Well, again, we'd like to thank the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance, for bringing this show to you each and every week and sponsoring us. I'd like to thank Tom Trial, who's behind the camera, putting us on camera, for doing this each and every week and being our beck and call and making his time available to do this. So we kind of want to jump right in here to what we happened last week and what's going to be going on this summer as we come about through the summer months. But last week was pretty special. You guys had a special event that took place there at the State House and had a lot of news media coverage on that, and it's well coverage, good coverage for what's coming up in the summer months here. I want you to talk a little bit about what happened. Right.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week in Indiana. Governor Pence proclaimed the week as Work Zone Awareness Week, really just to help get the public's attention that they're going to start seeing more work zones out on the highways. And so we're wrapping up that week of trying to get that awareness out there, but it's something that we really need to continue because we need this attention throughout the year, not just during this week. As we're wrapping up winter weather, hopefully it keeps kind of popping.
Yeah, but they keep saying temperatures are going to be below average, and they're going to be record low temperatures in the morning. So hopefully it'll get here pretty soon.
Right, right. Hopefully, as we crawl our way out of winter, and as the weather allows, our contractors and our maintenance crews are going to be out on the roadways, trying to repair the damage from winter, the potholes and everything, trying to prevent those from happening next year. And the major construction projects are all going to be kicking off, and there's a lot of work to do to both repair the damage, preserve what we have, and also build for the future. This year alone, we have $1.3 billion in construction projects, and that's a lot of work. So there's going to be a lot of work zones, and people just need to be aware that they need to drive safely through those zones for not only the safety of the workers, but especially for the safety of the motorists.
Right. And what people need to be aware of and look for is something that you brought in for us, that we have our attire on today, is the reflective vest that people are going to see. And the workers obviously are required to wear these for their safety and for the motorist safety going through there. But this may be their vest, or they have regular shirts and even pants and things now, don't they?
Right. Every worker that's out on the highway work zones takes their safety and the safety of their coworkers. That's the #1 priority, and so they do wear things like this to make them more visible to the drivers coming through the zones. And we just ask that the drivers and their passengers also take safety as the top priority while they're driving through the zones. Everything from just paying attention, just something as simple as paying attention while you're steering a vehicle at, 45, 50, 60 miles an hour down the roadways. That's all we ask for is just pay attention, slow down, have their safety in mind. But as I mentioned, it's 4 out of 5 fatalities in these highway work zones are actually drivers or their passengers, not the workers.
Right.
So if somebody else's safety isn't an incentive to you, your own safety ought to be.
Yes.
And so, keep an eye out for the workers. The signage going into the work zones, those orange signs will tell you exactly what to expect up ahead. The message boards that are often in advance of the work zones, paying attention to things like that can help you get safely from A to B through these work zones.
Let's talk a little more about what took place there at the State House. I know you had an actual work zone set up. Is that correct?
Right. We had the partnership with the American Traffic Safety Services Association, or ATSA, as we like to call it for short. They helped set up a work zone on Robert Orr Plaza, which is on the west side of the State House. We had the partnership with the Road Construction Awareness Corporation, who brought in a lot of contractors to show support and be kind of a visual presence with a lot of the contractors' vehicles and equipment. And kind of a rally outside on the west side of the State House, just speaking to to the public. We got the media there, and they ran some news stories. So again, that's all part of just trying to raise the public's awareness that these work zones are going to be increasing, both in number and just we need their help so that everybody goes home at the end of the day is really what it comes down to.
Now, did you have the actual equipment that's going to be like the public would see out on the construction zone there too?
Well, it's a nice plaza, so we tried not to damage the pavement bricks and things like that.
Yeah.
We had a concrete mixer and there was a crane out there. But I didn't think they would appreciate having the steel track, track hoe out there scratching up the.
They would have probably remembered that a long time.
Probably
they would have left the evidence there behind when they come through.
Right. So we did what we could to make it as a realistic work zone as possible. But there's going to be plenty of real work zones out on the real roads.
Right.
So this was kind of just something to help raise awareness.
Now, you say you're responsible for Central Indiana. I know I've seen some spots that have already started up with their construction zones. Are most of these, I know a lot of them you try to do at night to alleviate the traffic congestion. Is that still going to be what's going to happen this year too?
It's all about trying to balance the interests of all the stakeholders in these projects. Trying to get the work done in a timely manner so that we don't drag these construction projects out forever, but also doing that in a safe manner for the workers and for the motorists, and trying to keep mobility at the same time. So sometimes it's in the best interest to just close it down and get it done, but often, especially on these interstate projects, it's best that we come in at night when we can. Restrict the lanes, minimize the impacts to the motorist, and it's actually safer for the workers oftentimes to do these projects at night because the traffic counts are lower. Some people will say, well, it's dark and you can't see. Well, when we do these projects at night, we often light up the area pretty well to counter that. A lot of times workers will even have lights on their bodies to help them make them more visible. We have aero boards, overhead lighting and things like that we can use to light up these areas. So to minimize the impacts to the motorists that are driving in the area every day, we often do those high traffic areas at night.
I know this winter's been terrible on the roads, hasn't it? I mean, the potholes have just come up everywhere. Every
winter is really terrible for the roads. It's that freeze-thaw cycle, and when we have really low temperatures, and then it warms up, and then at night it drops back down. That an example that I use is if you've ever put a can of soda or pop or whatever you call it here in Indiana in the freezer on accident, or if you just try to expedite the chilling process or whatever, it expands. Ice expands, and then when it thaws, it contracts. And the same thing happens with the water that we melt the snow on the roadway, and it gets down below, permeates into the subgrade, as we call it, and it freezes, it expands, and it heaves up the pavement. So oftentimes you can feel these bumps driving down the road. Well, when that melts, it creates a void, and especially the semis drive over that, it pounds that void, and when it collapses, that's where the potholes come from. So doing that over and over and over throughout a winter, and then we get heavy rains in the spring, and those voids can wash out further with the extra water. So it's often in the springtime when we get those heavy rains and everything thaws out. Just a couple of weeks ago, we saw that happen, and that's when the potholes pop up.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. Sergeant Rich Myers, District 52. I'm with Nathan Riggs, the Public Information Director for INDOT. We're talking about the Indiana Department of Transportation Work Zone Awareness Week, which was actually last week when Governor Pence proclaimed that Work Awareness Week. But we want to make sure that it's brought to the public's attention all year long, and especially during the summer months here that's coming up. Are you guys to the warm patch stuff yet?
We have gotten some hot mix. We're right at that point where it's just starting to come out, and we'll be expanding that, of course, as the weather allows. But we're still getting those cold temperatures, so it's a lot of the hot mix plants haven't fired up yet because their contractors haven't started those major construction projects that makes it cost effective to fire up those plants. It costs money to make the mix, and if they're not selling it, then it doesn't make sense for them to make it. So we have gotten some early agreements to get a couple plants fired up. So we are making more permanent repairs to a lot of these potholes. But that'll be expanding, and that's another point, that in addition to the construction zones that are going to be, the drivers might learn to expect on their daily commute.
Yeah, they would be stationary and stay there.
Right. We've also got the maintenance crews out, and there's utility crews out that may only be in an area for a few minutes or a couple of hours. You might not expect them. So it comes back to just paying attention, because you never know when those orange signs might pop up, and those temporary work zones might be on your drive to work or wherever you may be going. So just paying attention can be the first big step to maybe saving somebody's life.
Yeah, and I know when you guys got the when they do a lot of this pothole repair, or when they're filling in the lines, the cracks that come through there, that moves throughout miles throughout the day.
Right. They might be on a stretch of roadway all day, but it may only be for one day. Or there may just be one pothole that needs to be filled, and they might only be out there for a couple of minutes. But they could be anywhere on any roadway. So it's vital that everybody, puts down their phone, really anything other than just driving. When you're behind the wheel, that it could be a terrible tragedy for somebody's loved one, or for yourself. So keep everybody's safety in mind. As we like to say, we're all in this together.
Exactly.
And paying attention is the simplest thing people can do to avoid all of this.
If people want to find out, hey, is there going to be construction in my area? Do I need to look out for that? What's a good way for them to do that?
Well, you can start off by going to the INDOT website. We've got a few resources there that people can use for traffic updates, for road conditions during the wintertime, for example. And as we're moving into construction season, checking out the construction restrictions. The exact website is indot.carsprogram.org.
Okay.
Or you can go to trafficwise.in.gov, and there will be a couple of links there. One, you can go to the metropolitan areas, and you can see traffic cameras, just like you'd see on the news
stations, on the media.
They use our cameras to do their traffic reporting, but you can also see those cameras by going to our website. In that way, before you leave, you can know before you go, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Check out your route, especially if you're going to an area that's not familiar to you. If you're going to be driving across the state or to an area you're not sure, maybe there might be construction, just check it out and see. That way you can plan a little bit of extra time, not feel rushed, and slow down through the work zone, and you're not feeling like you have to speed through there, again, for your safety and for the safety of the workers.
And I'm sure you guys are on social media all the time, putting out areas of crashes or something, or not exactly crashes, but something that may have happened and that would hinder the traffic pattern.
We've got a social media presence for each of our districts, and that covers more of our construction updates and things like that. But we also have our TrafficWise Twitter account that tweets out more of the emergency situations like crashes and things like that. So you can follow both of those and get the TrafficWise as more of the up-to-date, this crash just happened, this ramp is closed type of information. And then for updates on construction projects, you can go to the INDOT website, indot.in.gov. And depending on which district you might live in and which one you might want to follow, whether it's northwest or southeast, or I recommend following East Central.
There you go.
If you are interested in Indianapolis or the East Central part of the state. And so I help keep that updated.
And last but not least, we got about a minute and a half here, but we're partnering with you guys. So if they're not watching their speed, we're going to be watching your speed. We've got the trucks out there in the INDOT zones. Yeah,
I was talking about the lights earlier. We keep our trucks lit up with amber and red and white, but we place a very high value of appreciation on the with the partnership with the state police and local law enforcement, because the fact of the matter is that people slow down when they see police presence. And it may be because they fear getting a ticket, but really whatever it takes to get people to slow down, because it's not about writing tickets. We just want people to slow down and be aware.
Yeah, because, again, it's about their safety. And like you said, a lot of these accidents, a number of these accidents, and you gave the statistic on that, is the people actually in the zone, not the workers in the zone.
Right. Obviously we want our workers to be safe. They take safety as their top priority, but it's actually the drivers and their passengers that are the ones that are most injured and most killed driving through these work zones. And we really want to bring that number down to zero.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, thanks for coming in. We'll have a safe summer, hopefully. And
you too.
appreciate you coming, and come back anytime.
Thank you.
Again, it's been Sergeant Rich Myers with the Indiana State Police, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We appreciate you being here. We'll talk to you again next week. Buckle up. Have a safe summer. Thank you again, Nathan. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.